They were the speech how supported of TV sets and radios through Australia on December 17, 1967, the day Holt stepped in the breakers at Cheviot Beach, close Melbourne, and was never to be seen once again. The Australia lead was alleged recessed and a monument facility was detained in his honour, visited by Planet leaders consisting UK Main Secretary Harold Wilson and US CEO Lyndon Johnson. But his flesh was never found, guideline to a band of always more absurd plot theories, consisting one volume that declared he had been undertaken by a China sub. 50-year following his extinction, Holt's long career as a advanced and land-breaking Australia political figure has been fully clouded by the mystery environment of his die. I believe no of us would wish our die to outshine our lifetime. At first of Australia's contemporary main ministers, Holt became Australia's main secretary in January 1966, just 2 years up he missing. Same D been a loyalist secretary by the nation's longest-serving lead, Sir Robert Menzies. Menzies was a stifling Anglophile who could not include been a greater difference to the junior, 59-year-old Holt. He was junior, rather than Menzies. He was famous as a really trendy, advanced man. Examined of present, he was the at first of the contemporary Australia main ministers. In spite his comparatively brief period in office space, Holt provided a episode of considerable artistic achievements consisting switch Australia's exchange to dollar and cents of the complex LB and pence framework. This milestone of his period as a lead was the historical 1967 domestic plebiscite, that laid the way for native Australians to eventually be calculated amongst the nation's people. Bucks told Holt was as well one of the at first political community to job to end the shameful whites Australia politics, that strongly confined migration of non-European countries, and to achieve out diplomatically to his nationality's Asiatic neighbors. He could see no reason for eliminating Asians, of the nation. I believe he ruined downward the type, slowly, in Asia how Australia did not wish to be a portion of the area, he told. It wasn't just Asia how Holt requested Australia to go to. As main secretary, he constructed a shut private amity in later US CEO Johnson, dashingly declaration at the Whites Building for a trip he was all the way in LBJ in the previous stages of the Vietnam Warfare. He requested more than US participation in Asia or, since he had a nice, private relation in Johnson, he tested to use how to flatter, promote and tempt to Americans to be portion of Asia, Bucks told. I aware the bathing beach love the behind of my brush. The day Holt missing was hot and wet Saturday, ultimate for a float. Up dinner on December 17, 1967, Holt solved to chief to the regional bathing beach, shut to the feast building he belonging at Portsea on the Victorian shore. Down there was an about the world seaman who was shipping in Melbourne's seaport Phillip Gulf, and they went to see him. He, Holt, was down there in a dame boyfriend and pair of junior building guests, Bucks told. Holt was in lot ways the most significant Australia man, sociable, sports, a man in an appetite suppressant for lifetime. He enjoyed divers and underwater hunting, though he wasn't a awfully powerful diver, onto Bucks. But the main secretary wasn't in ultimate public health. Same D Fair had arm surgical and on Friday had been said by his physician to get it lightweight following the transactions. So he play pong on Sunday and went close the water supply on Saturday. So it was versus physician's orders, Bucks told. Witnesses on the bathing beach said police force the tidal was extraordinarily top in a powerful undercurrent how date. Several told it was the highest they'd always seen it. One of the recent things Holt had told to the team up he went in the water supply was, I aware the bathing beach love the behind of my brush. A eyewitness told, she had observed Mr. Holt continually of the period he introduced the breakers and she saw the water supply be really stormy about him really abruptly and emerging to simmer and these facilities seemed to bog on him, the paper outlined. He was not seen once again. Drowning, suicidal or China submarines. Australia was dazed at the news story of their lacking main secretary. I believe following the murder of U.S. CEO John F. Kennedy, largest human beings mind planet leaders would include a safety part who would not be far off or, if he got in any challenge, would assist him of, Bucks told. Amateurish sleuths, police force, and though the Australia troop lowered on the bathing beach in and tried to discover the lacking lead, or at the really low his flesh. The searching had implicated up to 300 human beings at times but was eventually named off on January 5. No track of Holt was always found, all how was leftward was his heap of clothing meeting on the grit at Cheviot Bathing Beach. His extinction done Holt's die portion of Australia folk, and caused angry discussion. Warhurst told Down there was savage assumption in the print how Holt had devoted suicidal, mad above and supposedly capricious wedding or worn out of his work. Police force in their 1968 paper found the was very hardly. Some theories had a more than world taste. Several declared, Down there was several kind of overseas force implicated, how same D been selected up by a Rusky or China mission statement and been whisked off versus his will, he told. Down there was though a wide despised volume, Noble, same main secretary was a agent by UK reporter Anthony Gray, that estimated Holt had been a China agent, and had vacuumized to a China sub of Cheviot Bathing Beach at the end of his mission statement. No of them include any demonstrative base they do not conduct water supply, they do not do feeling, Bucks told. Same largest easy, direct striker explain is he fair recessed, how's it, and human beings mind main ministers can't do how. Holt's heritage Holt's extinction shipped the steering permissive side in confusion, resultant in a episode of brief term, inefficient leaders and ultimately the back of the Labour side too by the government in 1972, following 23-year out of by the government. The permissive side himself did not completely restore of Holt's die, onto Warhurst, before 1975 while next Main Secretary Malcolm Mill took monitoring. For Australians, Holt's short period in office space was massively clouded by the secret of his die. Bucks told he requested to compose on Holt since he felt the lead had been neglected by Story. I believe if the anniversary date does whatever, I'd expect, he'd conduct Australians to believe his lifetime a bit more than quite rather than collecting above his die, he told. Year after, Australians would honour their lacking main secretary in a vogue suitable the nation's renowned concise feeling of humour. They mentioned a bathing swimming pool following him.